Hello, I'm Bishop Garland Hunt, and I want to welcome you to the Power of Hope devotional. The Power of Hope devotional. I've been doing this for a long time now, and many of you have seen me go by and do it, and you probably swish right past me. But I just want to tell you, sometimes we're talking about things that have tremendous value. So let me just tell you the thought of this one. What's the meaning of your life? What's the true meaning of your life? You ever thought about that? I mean, what was it for? Let me just say this. My name is Bishop Garland Hunt. I'm right here. I pastor the Father's House in Peachtree Corners area right outside of Atlanta. Um, but I'm speaking to you. This is not by chance that you've seen this. I want to ask you a question. What is the true meaning of your life? Because we can go through life the whole time and we just think that maybe, we're nothing more than a social security number. Or that, I'm just a grandmother, or I'm just a mother, or I'm just a dad, or I'm just a granddad. And so we pretty much size things up by our immediate environment. Or it could be that we're thinking more so in terms of where I do my job. So we're defining ourselves by a job. If there's grocery, we work groceries at a grocery store, or if you're a clerk, you say, well, I'm defined by my job at Kroger or Publix or whatever it might be. Or let's say if you are a garbage man or you are an engineer or pastor, like I'm a pastor. Well, you say, well, what am I defined by my work? Ultimately speaking, God created us with a purpose. God created us with purpose. So we do not have the luxury of thinking that we belong to ourselves. Our life is to serve. Our life is to give. We're not here by mistake. This isn't a mistake that you're alive today. God has you, ordained you, and foreordained you with a purpose. And so this is why it's so very important for us to know what is the true meaning of our life. Now I want to go to the scripture here in Acts 13:36. Acts 13:36. And it says here, for David, after he had served his own generation by the will of God, fell on sleep and was laid unto his fathers and saw corruption. So it says that David, after he had served his own generation by the will of God. So let's look at that right there. He said, after he served. What does that mean? What that means that he served his generation while he was alive. What? Following the will of God. Before he could die, he had to have the satisfaction that he served the will of God and served his generation. He followed the will of God, I should say, and served his generation. So let me just say this to you. So you have a responsibility beyond yourself. It's not just how I can serve myself, I can keep myself comfortable, I can make sure that I have the best of things or I survive. But no, God's called you here for a purpose beyond yourself. And the generation that we live in actually is a generation that we're responsible for. Yeah, that's true. The generation that you live in, the generation right now, the COVID generation, I mean, who would have thought, right? So much has happened in 2020, we just never would have expected it. I mean, the racial injustice, the protests that are going on, COVID, all these things, we never would have thought that we've been faced with these kind of things. Churches shut down, theaters shut down, malls shut down, everything. Really ghost town for several months, actually. And things are beginning to pick up now, but I'm saying to you that what in the world is going on? But I'm saying that you and I, because we're alive, we have responsibility during this time to serve our generation. So this is our time. This is not the time where the first colonizers of the United States or America, or the first soldiers that fought in World War One, or those that are out there in Vietnam. I mean, all those, or civil rights leaders back in the 60s, they aren't responsible for what's going on now. They took care of what they had to do within their own generation. But what is our responsibility? What is your responsibility? So we have to know that everything that happens on this earth, even if you don't like it, even if you say, well, I don't like the news, or I don't like to hear what's going on, I just have to get this stuff out of my mind. I understand that. There are times that I have to take myself, I have to take a step back, take back from the news, or take a step back from social media, because sometimes you can be overloaded with it. But still, that doesn't take away your responsibility for what happens on this earth while you're alive. And it goes with your family. Sure, you're responsible for your family. I mean, you're responsible for your family, of course. You're responsible for things happening around you. Hopefully, you're a Christian and you go to church. You're responsible for your church. You're responsible for your community. Things that happen there, you have a responsibility, but you're responsible to serve. Our life is a life of serving. Our life is not just serving ourselves. I know that we think that it's all about us. Well, darling, let me just say, it's not all about you. It's not. You got to understand that God's called you for purpose and destiny on this earth. And so David said that he served his generation by the will of God and fell on sleep and was laid unto his fathers and then saw corruption. See, God is not playing around with this. He's not playing around because he wants us to know we have a responsibility. So part of our responsibility is how we reacted during the COVID season. Did we minister to people during COVID? Did we reach out to people during COVID? Did we close ourselves and isolate ourselves so much that we don't have space for anybody else? We don't check on people. We don't call people. We don't spend time with people. We don't do anything. All we did is just kind of isolate ourselves just to survive. No. See, the ministry doesn't stop just because you're in COVID. It doesn't stop. So the same thing goes on, but what about pre-COVID? How much ministry did you do then? Well, let's assume that you did a lot. I don't know how many people did you lead to the Lord. How many people did you talk about Jesus? How many people heard your testimony when you came to the Lord? Oh, you haven't come to the Lord yet? Well, then you better do it right now. Now, we'll say if you don't know Jesus, then you can't be held accountable for it, but you can be accountable if you deny the light. See, if the light is trying to come to you and you not receive the light, then understand that that's a problem. But let me just say this. I got another scripture I want to give you. I hope I have the time to do it. This is out of 2 Timothy 4, 6-8. And it says, "For I am now ready to be offered." This is Paul. "And the time of my departure is at hand." So he saw that his time was coming to the end. His time was departure is even. The scripture actually in New King James, it says, "As for me, my life has already been poured out as an offering to God." I like that. I even like that better because the first one says that I'm now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. In the New Living Translation, it says, "As for me, my life has already been poured out as an offering unto God." I like that. It said, "The time is near. I have fought the good fight. I've finished the race. I've remained faithful." So that's conclusive. I have fought a good fight. Have you fought a good fight? See, you cannot let the devil win just because he pounds you with depression or he pounds you with unclarity about your life or indecisiveness or just paralyze you because you're so afraid to fail or kept you in a box that you're afraid to get out, that something may happen. You fear of things and fear of people, of fear of new things. No, you rebuke that fear because God did not give you a spirit of fear, but power, love, and sound mind. That's what he gave you. That's exactly what he gave you. So don't you dare think that the Lord is setting you up that you're going to be bound by fear. No, sir. Let me just go on further before we run out of time and say, "Now the prize awaits me, the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, was given me in that day of his return." See, when we go back before the Lord, he's going to give us a prize. There will be a prize for how we conduct ourselves on this earth. So therefore, you finish the race. Come on, stop procrastinating. Stop putting it out for there is no tomorrow. You have to work like it's yet day. I heard they interviewed an athlete recently, and they said, "What is it that you want to feel after this game?" So I want to say that I've laid it all on the court. I'm going to ask you, finish the race. Look, fight the good fight of faith, and then you'll get a crown. Listen, this is Bishop Garland Hunt, and this is the Powerful Devotional. I'll talk to you tomorrow.